Ben Bennett wiped his hands on a rag after tightening a bolt on an old pickup truck. It had been a slow day at Ben's garage, a small-town auto repair shop where everyone was a friend or neighbor. Ben, in his early 50s, with a little gray in his dark hair, was the kind of guy people trusted, honest, skilled, and humble. He'd run the shop alone ever since his father passed away years ago. Business wasn't booming, but Ben never turned anyone away, even if they couldn't pay right away. The phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. Ben glanced at the old phone on the wall and sighed, thinking it was probably a telemarketer, but something told him to answer. "Ben's garage, Ben speaking," he said, his voice calm but a little tired. A nervous voice answered, "Hi, I'm sorry to bother you, but I have a flat tire en route, just past the old Sinclair station. I don't know how to change it, and I don't have anyone to call. Can you help?" Ben leaned back and looked outside. It was a warm day with a light breeze. Route wasn't too far. He could be there in minutes. "No problem. I'll be right there. Stay safe by your car, and I'll bring my tools," he said. The woman on the other end sounded relieved. "Thank you so much. I really appreciate it." Ben hung up, grabbed his toolbox, and left. The truck he'd been working on could wait. His dog, Max, a golden retriever, jumped into the passenger seat, happy as always. The drive was peaceful with rolling hills and open fields. Ben thought about how his family had struggled when he was younger, but his father had always told him, "Help others when you can. Kindness doesn't cost anything but is worth more than gold." When Ben reached the Sinclair station, he saw a sleek black car parked on the shoulder. A woman in her 30s stood next to it, looking out of place in her neat clothes. She glanced at the flat tire and then at her phone, unsure of what to do. Ben pulled over, parked behind her car, and Max jumped out of the truck, wagging his tail. "Is he friendly?" the woman asked. "Friendly as can be," Ben said, smiling. "I'm Ben. You must be the one who called." "Yes, I'm Sophie," she said, shaking his hand. Her grip was firm, but Ben noticed a slight tremor in her fingers. "Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure who else to call." "No problem," Ben said, checking the tire. The car was a luxury sedan, and the tire was badly damaged. "Do you have a spare?" Sophie hesitated. "I think so, but I don't know how to check." Ben smiled. "No worries, that's why I'm here." He found the spare in the trunk, and as he worked, he noticed the car was spotless, like it had just been bought. He also noticed Sophie seemed a bit uncomfortable. "This won't take long," Ben said as he worked and chatted about Max, the dog who was always by his side at the shop. Slowly, Sophie seemed to relax, and by the time Ben finished putting the spare tire on, she was smiling more. "Good as new," Ben said. "This spare will hold up until you can get a proper tire." Sophie sighed with relief. "I don't know how to thank you. You really saved me." Ben waved it off. "Glad I could help. That's what neighbors are for." Sophie seemed unsure. She reached for her wallet. "I want to pay you." "No need for that," Ben said. "Just pay it forward someday when you can." Sophie looked surprised. "Are you sure?" "Take care of yourself and drive safe," Ben said. Sophie smiled, nodded, and drove off. Ben felt quietly happy. It wasn't the first time he'd helped a stranger, and it wouldn't be the last. A week later, Ben was working on a car when a delivery truck pulled up. A man in a uniform handed Ben a small box and asked for a signature. Ben signed and opened the box to find a pair of shiny, high-tech diagnostic tools. Ben was shocked. These were the kind of tools he'd only dreamed of having. Inside the box was a note. "Ben, thank you for your kindness. The world needs more people like you. I hope these tools make your job easier. Warm regards, Sophie." Ben stood there, stunned. He never expected anything in return, let alone something so expensive. He smiled, looking at the tools. They would make his job much easier. "Looks like our favor just paid off, Max," Ben said to the dog. Over the next few days, Ben couldn't stop thinking about Sophie's thoughtful gesture. His business started picking up because of the new tools, and soon he found himself busier than he'd been in months. One afternoon, after finishing a job, the phone rang again. It was Sophie. "Hi, Ben," she said. "I hope I'm not bothering you." "Not at all," Ben said, happy to hear from her. "Those tools you sent are incredible. You didn't have to do that." Sophie laughed. "It was the least I could do. Listen, I was wondering if I could stop by tomorrow. I'd like to thank you in person and talk about something." The next day, Sophie showed up with a smile and a new tire for her car. She thanked Max, then turned to Ben. "I've been thinking about what you said, about paying kindness forward," she said. "You helped me when I needed it, and it reminded me of something my father used to say." Ben raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "He always said you can measure a person by how they treat others when there's nothing to gain." "You're one of the good ones, Ben." Ben blushed a little. "I just did what anyone should do." Sophie shook her head. "It is special. Not everyone takes the time to help a stranger. I want to help your business. Would you let me?" Ben was surprised. "You want to help my business?" Sophie smiled. "I have some ideas. I think I can help you grow." Ben wasn't sure. "But we barely know each other." Sophie's smile softened. "People like you remind me of what's important. I believe in what you're doing." Ben thought for a moment. "But let's see where this goes." "But no promises?" Sophie nodded. "That's all I ask." Over the next few weeks, Sophie visited often, bringing coffee and lunch. Ben began to see that something big was on the way. Sophie helped Ben organize his garage and showed him a few tricks to make his business run better. Ben noticed how comfortable Sophie was taking charge. She was confident in the way she spoke and carried herself. Ben started wondering where she came from, but he never asked. One chilly autumn morning, Sophie came in with a folder under her arm. She handed it to Ben with a smile. "What's this?" Ben asked, opening it. Inside were plans to update the garage, new equipment, a fresh look, and costs. "I've been thinking about how to make your business better," Sophie said. "These are just ideas, but I thought they could help." Ben was impressed but worried. "This is amazing, but I can't afford most of this." Sophie took a deep breath. "There's something I need to tell you. I'm not from around here. I came to this town because I was looking for something, or maybe trying to escape something." Ben was curious but confused. "I run a successful company," she said. "I've built it up myself, and it's made me a lot of money." Ben was shocked. "Wait, you mean you're a millionaire?" Sophie nodded. "Yes, but that's not why I'm here. I came because I wanted to remember what it feels like to be part of something real. When you helped me with my flat tire, it reminded me of who I used to be." Ben was speechless. "I don't even know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," Sophie said quickly. "I just wanted you to know the truth. I want to help you with your garage, not as a big company project, but as a way to give back. You have something special here, a connection to the community that money can't buy." Ben was amazed. "Are you sure about this?" "Why me?" "Because you didn't judge me when you saw me on the side of the road. You just helped. Kindness like that is rare, and it's worth supporting." Ben felt a lump in his throat. He'd always struggled to keep the garage running, always putting others first. The idea that someone believed in him enough to offer real help was almost too much to believe. "I don't know what to say," he said. "Just think about it," Sophie said with a smile. "No pressure, no strings attached. Just consider it." Ben nodded. "I will." Over the next few weeks, Ben thought a lot about Sophie's offer. He was torn between being thankful and feeling too proud to accept help. He had always done things on his own. Sophie didn't push him. She came by the garage to chat and offer her ideas when Ben was ready to listen. Slowly, her excitement about the project made Ben feel more comfortable. One morning, Ben made his decision. When Sophie arrived with coffee, Ben said, "I've thought about it. Let's do it, but on one condition." "What's that?" Sophie asked. "I want to make sure the garage stays true to its roots," Ben said. "I don't want it to turn into something flashy. This place has always been about helping people, no matter how much they can pay." Sophie smiled. "That's exactly why I want to help. We'll keep it real, I promise. This is your dream. I'm just here to help make it happen. And so, they got to work. Sophie didn't just offer money, she was hands-on, helping with planning and upgrades. They made sure to keep the heart of the garage intact while bringing in new equipment. Ben even hired local workers to help support the town's economy. The first big change was the sign, replacing the old one with a new, sleek one that read, Ben's Garage, where neighbors come first. Ben wanted to keep the tagline Sophie had suggested. Then they started adding new equipment, lifts, diagnostic machines, tools. But the thing Ben was most excited about was the Kindness Corner. This was Sophie's idea, a special area where customers could learn about car maintenance or get help if they couldn't afford full repairs. It became a huge success. Sophie was there every step of the way, even learning about cars herself. Ben admired her work ethic and care for others. One day, Ben asked, "Ever think about switching careers?" Sophie laughed. "I think I'll stick to my job, but this has been more rewarding than I expected." As the garage improved, so did Ben. He started to see that his work wasn't just about fixing cars, it was about helping people. Customers who had trouble paying were now bringing their friends and family, thanks to the garage's reputation for kindness and honesty. One evening, Ben and Sophie sat outside, watching the sunset, with Max the dog at their feet. "This place feels like one of those heartwarming stories about small towns," Sophie said. Ben chuckled. "I never thought about it like that. I just fix cars and try to do right by people." Sophie turned to him. "It's more than that. You've created something special here. It's about kindness and integrity." Ben didn't know what to say, so he just looked at the horizon, feeling happy for the first time in a long time. There were challenges along the way, unexpected costs, long hours, and tough decisions, but with Sophie's help and Ben's hard work, they made it through. The garage became a symbol of hope in the community. One snowy winter morning, Ben looked around the busy shop with pride. Thanks to Sophie's support, the business was thriving, but it had stayed true to its roots, a place where anyone could find help. Ben had never imagined that fixing a stranger's tire would lead to all of this. But sometimes, as his father had always said, kindness is worth more than gold.